Hey, it's Grady at Twin Creek Audio, back in the studio today. Got my Buc-ee's shirt on, road tripping. Got another song to mix for you today here on the channel. This is a alternative rock song, whatever you call it. But anyway, Shdaow plus Echo, and this is the song Reign of Sadness from the first Shdaow plus Echo album, Dark Horse. So we're going to mix that on the console today, paying close attention to compression. Since this is an alternative rock song, I'm going to use all the compressors in the rack, everything that I have, and just see how much we can make this mix rock. I'm going to have several special things going on in the mix. Same as the last video, I'm using the NUX Atlantic Delay and Reverb with the plate reverb setting and the 60s tape delay in front of that on vocals. And then I'm using the Yamaha REV500 with the wood room preset on drums. I want to get some size and space to the drums in this mix without just totally squishing everything with some compression, even though that's going to be going on too, as you'll see in just a moment. So let me go over to the board, to the Soundcraft Sapphyre mixing console, and see what we can do with the mix of Reign of Sadness from Shdaow plus Echo. Well, I'm at the mixing console for this alternative rock mix. I'm going to use quite a bit of compression, but this is simple stuff. This isn't always, you don't have to have a compressor on every single thing, and you don't have to have a parallel compression drum bus all the time. You don't even have to have bus compression. It's just all about the sounds that you've got and working with what you've got. And in this case, I am using a lot of compression, all outboard compression, because I have it and I enjoy working with outboard gear, and this is a rock song, so I'm trying to make this exciting, especially make the drums kind of exciting. So we've got drums down here, kick, snare, stereo toms, stereo overheads and hi-hat. This is a room mic, and then this is bass guitar. And we've got one of the main electric guitar parts here, stereo electric guitar, and then I don't think there's anything there. This is a lead guitar part right here in stereo, and this is a weird synth sound in stereo. Then down here we've got a lead vocal, we've got a low-pitched double vocal, and then a stereo pair of channels down here for backing vocals. So it's really pretty simple, just making it sound really good. I'm using minimal EQ, and a lot of it's really similar to the types of EQ things that I've done in other videos. Basically, not a whole lot going on with EQ. I'm boosting a little bit of high mids on the right-hand side of the toms and a little bit of lows. I've got also a little bit of lows added to the kick drum, but that's it. I haven't done any other EQ, and it's just a touch of this low shelf EQ here on the Sapphyre. Same with both sides of the tom stems, the left and right toms here. A little bit of low end being added and a little bit of high mids on just the right side. Probably to get a little more attack out of the floor tom so it wouldn't get lost in the mix. No compression on these, but they were probably tracked with outboard compression. This was done about 7 years ago, and I did have outboard rack compressors I would use. I'm sending the snare drum and the toms to the Yamaha REV500 using the wood room preset. And that's it. This is turned up. These aren't going to anything right now. You turn those down, actually. Ha! The room mic, I've EQ'd it a little bit, took out some 12K and some additional high mids around 5. And then I've got it just kind of seated back in the mix, and it's being hyper compressed with the 501. The kick and the snare drum have the LA Audio 4x4. One side of it for the kick, the other side on the snare. It's such a great sounding compressor on drums. It's really unbelievable. And that didn't cost me very much at all used. And it sounds as good or better than any really good plug-in that I've ever tried. Again, with the overheads, I'm boosting a little bit of like 7K and a little bit of 12K with the high frequency shelf EQ here on the Sapphyre. The room mic, I'm pulling out a lot of 12K and pulling out some 7K. I was turning down the cymbals in the room mic with these couple of EQ moves here. So I want the room ambience on the drum shells themselves, but not so much of the cymbals because it can get a little messy. And same reason that I pushed some of the highs here on the overheads so that these kind of overtake any weirdness, but they still sound pretty rock and roll. We'll hear that in a second. Bass guitar I have going through the Urei LA-10 compressor. Always works great on bass, also works great on drums, but I've been using it on bass a lot lately and I really like that. The electric guitar tracks, I don't have any compression on any of those. I think this synth track did have some compression on it, and it was probably printed that way, or it was, rendered that way in the box. Probably some kind of a tube compressor plug-in or something was on this. So not a whole lot of tricks going on here until you get to the vocals. And on the vocals, I'm using the Vacuumsound ADT plugin on the stereo background vocals. That's why it's a stereo pair down here, because I'm using that ADT. And then the low vocal that doubles a lot of the parts is going through the RNC compressor, while the lead vocal is going through the Symetrix CL-100 with the DS switch on. And that thing just does something really great to a vocal. I really like it. It's unusual. It's kind of over-compressed in a way, the sound of it, but I think it's great and it works really well. So let me play back the mix for you before I start breaking down and soloing up the different things that are in the mix. So here's the whole mix. Cool. It kind of has some imperfections to the sound, but that's good. That's why I like it. It sounds exciting, and I'm creating even more imperfections by compressing that kick and snare. That kick drum is really punchy. It has a lot of attack. And, I'm kind of tempted to add some more lows to it. And I added just a touch up here, but I don't think I'm going to do anything to it. It sounds really good, and the bass guitar is really filling up the sub low end in this mix, so we're going to go with that. Now I'm going to play back just the drums. Now remember, this has the LA Audio 4x4 compressor on the kick and the snare, and the Symetrix 501 on the room mic. And we've also got that short room reverb courtesy of the Yamaha REV500. So let's listen to the drums. Those drums sound pretty good. They definitely have some excitement to the sound of them, and I really like that. Let's hear the drum room mic by itself with the Symetrix 501 compressor. So that super compressed room mic is adding something when I sneak it in below all the rest of these drum mics. Now the bass guitar, move on to that because this guitar sound is really good. bass sound is pretty good. I haven't done just a whole lot to it. I've boosted some of the low end with the low shelf EQ, and I've pulled out a little bit of 12K because it was a little clicky and noisy. And I've boosted a little bit of low mids down here. And of course the LA-10, the Urei LA-10 compressor on this bass guitar. But that bass, it had new strings on it. I believe it's a PV Foundation bass is what you're hearing. And this would have been recorded through an ART preamp, like a tube preamp. So we were probably pushing the tube a little bit when we recorded it, but it is a DI signal. Really, really cool. On the vocals, I'm using the NUX Atlantic Delay and Reverb guitar pedal. But the thing has a +4, -10 switch, so I have it set to +4, and I have it connected to an aux send here on the console, and that's the plate reverb that's on these vocals. So let's listen to the vocal tracks in this song and hear not only the Symetrix CL-100 compressor on the lead vocal and the RNC on the low backing vocal or double, whatever you want to call that, but also we're going to hear that reverb.
I haven't forgotten the way it was before, how it all got rotten, and what is all in store. Everything gets painted black now, my fingers and my hair. I put the chisel to the cracks now, until you are ensnared. You're the ruler in a rain of sadness, falling down. And I know you're just so terribly glad this is how it all went down. Rain covers this town.
So the NUX Atlantic Delay and Reverb pedal actually works great as a send effect if you're using an analog console. I just connected the aux send, in this case I think it's aux send 3, connected that to the pedal, and then the stereo outputs back to a stereo channel on my console, and now I've got a great reverb with a 60s style tape delay in front of it, and I have those both cranked up all the way 100% wet so that the delayed signal is feeding the reverb like you would expect with a pre-delay. So I'm basically creating or emulating an analog tape machine pre-delay into a plate reverb with the pedal, which I think is really cool. And it sounds great on the vocal. Now I want to bring up just the lead vocal, and I'll take the reverb off of the vocal, but I want you to hear the Symetrix CL-100 compressor on this lead vocal and what that with the de-esser circuit on is doing to this lead vocal track and how cool it sounds. It's very rock and roll.
I haven't forgotten the way it was before, how it all got rotten, and what is all in store. Everything is painted black now, my fingers and my hair. I put the chisel to the cracks now, until you are ensnared.
So there we go. How's that for some magic on a vocal? I mean, I don't know how smooth sounding that is, but for a song like this one, it's absolutely perfect. And that NUX delay and reverb, the NUX Atlantic Delay and Reverb's absolutely killer on a vocal. I mean, they sell it as a guitar effect pedal, but the quality of it's easily good enough for a studio effect. I'm using that in this video. I used it in the last mixing video, mixing Half Mile. So check out that video if you missed it for another example of me using the NUX Atlantic Delay and Reverb pedal on a vocal in a mix, and how cool that is. And that's it. We're really have a pretty good sounding mix now. So let me go ahead and put the final mix for this video down, and of course film the rack gear and all that at the same time so I can give you close-ups of the compressors working hard, doing all the cool stuff that they do, and you guys can see and hear the cool mix. Coming up now.
just so terribly glad this is how it all went down. Rain covers this town. Don't you wanna feel the rain of sadness? Don't you wanna feel the rain of sadness?
So that was a lot of fun mixing Shdaow plus Echo's Reign of Sadness here on the channel for you guys through the Soundcraft Sapphyre, all the cool outboard gear and compressors. Had a lot of fun compressing a lot of things today. I always like to use compression or abuse compression in a mix for rock music or alternative music. It's always a good time for me. So I hope you enjoyed watching that. Make sure to check out the original mix of this song, Shdaow plus Echo's Reign of Sadness. I'll put a link to that in the video description. Check out the entire Shdaow plus Echo first album, Dark Horse, that this song is from, and the second album, Yes Depression, which, yes, it is a play on Uncle Tupelo's No Depression, but still, it's a great album. If you like good quirky alternative rock music, I definitely recommend checking out Shdaow plus Echo, The Dark Horse, and Yes Depression, both of those albums. Reign of Sadness, again, this song I used in this video mixing demo is on The Dark Horse, or I think it's just Dark Horse. Shdaow plus Echo, Dark Horse. So check that out. While you're checking out the original version of this song, check out all the other links in the video description for ways to help support this channel, including music, projects, productions, mixing, things that I've been a part of, as well as some t-shirts and other stuff. Check out that stuff in the description, as well as liking this video and subscribing to the Twin Creek Audio YouTube channel. I'm always trying to bring new videos, new and unusual, quirky pieces of equipment, using stuff in different ways, whatever I can find to bring you here. So I very much appreciate you watching. I hope that you all have an excellent day, night, evening, weekend, weekday, hour, minute, second, nanosecond. Whatever it is you're having, have a good one. And thanks so much for watching.